Hello guys, Trevor James here, and I'm super excited to bring you a whole new series on my channel that I call Yugioh Archetype Diaries, a show where I break down each card in a specific archetype and the inspirations behind them. For my first episode, I decided to crack into the popular archetype known as Kozmo. So without further ado, let's learn about this epic star fleet. Now, most of you are well aware that Kozmos are definitely inspired by Star Wars, but did you also know that the quirky Wizard of Oz had just as much of an impact on the design for this galactic deck? Let's get this breakdown underway so we can see why these two very different franchises had so much of an impact on this archetype that is taking today's meta to infinity and beyond. To make this simple and sweet, every Kozmo card is basically a fusion from something from the world of Oz and something from the world of Star Wars. Now with that in mind, let's break down the walls of this beloved archetype and see what lies underneath. Starting off, we have a card that brought Kozmos right into the meta world with Kozmo Farm Girl. This intergalactic hero had the power to get ships out left and right and really put a lot of power in the player's hand. Now, her inspiration from the world of Oz is none other than Dorothy Gale, the main character of Wizard of Oz. You can easily see the likeness by comparing what she is wearing, as well as the similarities on both, all the way down to their pigtails and animal companions, even if Farm Girl's is a giant mecha dog. Even the name Farm Girl most likely comes from the fact Dorothy lives on a farm before the events of Wizard of Oz. Now, in the Star Wars universe, her inspiration is not as simple, though she is likely the female version of the classic hero, Luke Skywalker. You can see the similarities by the blaster in her hand, the goggles on her head, and the cape on her back. She's even standing in a desert, similar to the one Luke grew up on. Either way, Farm Girl is a fusion of these two beloved characters. Next up, we have one of the MVPs of the deck, Kozmo Tin Can. Without this monster, Kozmo would have way less consistency, as Tin Can is able to search out any combo piece in the deck and randomly put one in your hand. Now, Tin Can's inspiration from Oz is obviously the Tin Man himself. To even explain the similarities between the two is blatantly apparent. They are both made out of tin. Enough said. Moving on to the Star Wars universe, it's plain to see that the beloved R2-D2 is the inspiration behind this cute little rust bucket. From head to toe, the shape of both machines are very alike, and Tin Can looks like he could be a distant relative of R2. Even looking deeper into the card, we can see Tin Can's buddy Strawman standing by his side. Who could this gangly fellow be a nod to? Speaking of Kozmo Strawman, here he is in all of his slender, almost creepy beauty. This guy is quite the powerhouse, being able to target the player's banished ships and get one back on the field to push for an XC play. Now, Strawman's counterpart in the world of Oz is none other than the Scarecrow. This lovable character was quite the dunderhead of the story due to the fact that he had never had a brain. Once again, the similarities are quite apparent, and even the name Strawman derives from the Scarecrow being made out of, well, straw. Now, while the appearance of Strawman takes on more of a Scarecrow-like stature, his double in the world of Star Wars is R2-D2's right-hand man, C-3PO. Looking at the two, both are tall and slender, and both are machines. The fact that Strawman is always seen with Tin Can is a gentle nod to R2 and C-3PO's friendship, and you can see where Konami got the idea from these two partners of the galaxy. Now, this little guy is Kozmo Scaredy Lion. He doesn't really do much for the archetype besides getting players' banished ships back to the graveyard, as well as be a target for a switch out. He's not too good, but if he is used, he would be ran at 1 max. Now, the inspiration for him from Oz is once again pretty obvious. Scaredy Lion is based off of the Cowardly Lion himself. From the lion-like appearance to the name Scaredy being a synonym of cowardly, this lion was quite a scaredy cat until he found the courage in the old story. Now, from the Star Wars universe, there's only one character that this lion can fit the mane of, the much-loved Chewbacca, or Chewie the Wookiee. The fluffy mane of Scaredy Lion is just like this big brute. Scaredy Lion even has an ammo belt strapped around him, just like Chewie. The big difference between these two is Chewie is a certified badass, and Scaredy Lion, well, let's just say he won't be taking down an army of troopers single-handedly. That's for sure. Continuing on with the Army of Troopers motif, we have the monster Kozmo Sword Troopers. This monster is pretty great because he acts like a monster reborn and is a great switch-out target for bigger pilots and ships. He can be a pretty great start for a wicked play and is a somewhat overlooked card. Flying in from the world of Oz, we have the Sword Troopers counterpart, the Winged or Flying Monkey. This monster was quite the nightmare fuel back in the day, and for good reason. They are vicious, and are the devious army of the Wicked Witch of the West. Now comparing these two, you can see that while the Sword Troopers are covered in armor, the shapes of their helmets and design look like a monkey's head, and they also are rocking jetpacks with wings on their backs. Moving on to the Star Wars universe, the Sword Troopers are blatantly based off the Stormtroopers, an army of soldiers on the side of Darth Vader. Both armies are covered head to toe in armor, and they are both sporting heavy-duty blasters. The Sword Troopers even look like they are about to walk right down the ramp of a ship, just like how the Stormtroopers do in the movies. I wonder if they have a terrible aim, too. And now introducing the Grandmasters of the deck, the first one being Kozmo Goodwitch. This card is easily the weakest of the three, though she does have a built-in Book of Moon effect at the cost of 500 life points. And just like all the other pilots, she has that switch-out ability, but she's merely just okay. Goodwitch is based off Glinda the Good Witch from Oz. Glinda is your typical fairy godmother who protects Dorothy on her travels. Goodwitch's design is in her curly red locks as well as her fairy wings and magic wand, all derived from this original fairy guardian. Her design coming from the Star Wars universe is not just one, but basically all of the OG Jedi Masters that inspired Goodwitch's character. From Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's tutelage to Yoda's wisdom and kindness, Goodwitch's design just screams these guys. She's wearing a belt and jacket and is also sporting a lightsaber wand. What else can I say here? This next Grandmaster is quite the powerful card. Kozmo Wicked Witch has a built-in protection effect that stops her from being destroyed by battle or card effect. Topped with her switch-out effect and beefy 1900 attack, she's quite the TKO, especially against mirror matches. In the world of Oz, her character is likely based off the Wicked Witch of the East. This witch is the third sister of Glinda the Good Witch and the Wicked Witch of the West. While we don't know much about her from the movies, the books expand on the evil monster that she is. Though Wicked Witch's design doesn't have anything that really points to this conniving woman, her name says it all. Now on the other hand, Wicked Witch's design from Star Wars is as straightforward as it gets. Everything from the hooded cloak that she is wearing to the vacant expression on her face positively depicts the Sith Lord Darth Maul. I mean, she's even holding a two-sided lightsaber in her hand. Anyone that can't see this resemblance has to be blind. To round up our intergalactic pilots, we have the Grandmaster of all masters, Kozmo Dark Lady. The power that this card packs is tremendous, as she can negate any monster effect and destroy said monster once per turn. Just like all the other pilots, she has a switch-out mechanic and is rolling with 2200 attack. She is quite the force to be reckoned with. On both sides of the spectrum, Dark Lady's inspirations are indistinguishable. From the world of Oz, she's based off the Queen of Melting herself, the Wicked Witch of the West. This terrifying foe strikes fear in the hearts of her enemies with just a single cackle. The design of Dark Lady says it all, from the pointy witch hat to the long dark dress. If you look closely, you can even see a couple crystal balls in the card's background. Such a small detail that adds to the true nature of this card. Lastly, from the world of Star Wars, Dark Lady is based off the king of himself, Darth freaking Vader. Once known as the most threatening force in the galaxy, this menacing badass doesn't let anything stand in his way. Dark Lady's design is once again pretty straightforward, to the cloaked head-to-toe appearance to the mask on her face. Even her right arm is posed, ready to force choke the next unexpected victim. Once again, sporting a dark lightsaber in her hands, we know exactly what Konami was going for. Now what are pilots without their ships, you ask? Tune in next week for part 2 where I talk about the Kozmo ships and what they're based off of. I hope you guys enjoyed this new series, and please let me know what archetype you'd like me to cover in future episodes. If you like this, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As this chapter comes to a close, it's time to set down the book just for a little while. Until next time, guys.